This episode begins with Jinshi looking extremely tense, prompting Maomao to ask what's wrong. Jinshi explains that a master from another palace has approached him with a case. There was once a renowned metalworker who passed away without passing down his secret techniques to his sons. His will left specific items for each son. The eldest received the workshop, the second son got an exquisitely crafted piece of furniture, and the youngest received a fish pot. There was also a peculiar note instructing them to gather for tea. Maomao speculates that there may be a hidden meaning behind these items. Jinshi provides an address where she can investigate, and Maomao, granted a day off, decides to visit. Upon arrival, she meets the three brothers. The eldest son values the workshop, the second cherishes the furniture, while the youngest sees the fish pot as merely an object he can sell. The second son complains that his inherited furniture cannot be opened despite possessing the key, and the eldest feels his workshop is useless without knowledge of his father's skills. Maomao inspects the table and notices an imprint, deducing that the fish pot was once placed there. She returns the pot to its original position and fills it with water, causing sunlight to refract and reveal a hidden keyhole. Using the key, she successfully opens the furniture. Though initially appearing empty, it holds valuable lessons meant to unify the brothers. The youngest son recalls their father praising their individual strengths, reconciling them. Later, Jinshi hears of her success and the episode concludes. This episode begins with Jinshi asking Maomao if she can do his makeup. Surprised, Maomao questions why he needs such a transformation. Jinshi, avoiding a direct answer, asks how she creates the blemishes on her face. Maomao realizes he wants to appear less attractive and explains that she uses oil mixed with fine clay. Jinshi then asks if it can be done quickly, to which Maomao confirms it can be prepared overnight. He wishes for a medicine that could completely change his face, but Maomao warns that such a transformation would be permanent. Jinshi insists. He doesn't mind, but Maomao suggests simply making him look like an ordinary person instead. She then prepares a special cream for his face. The next morning, she confirms his decision, and he agrees. She makes him remove his expensive perfume and luxurious clothing, explaining that ordinary people don't wear such things. She instructs an assistant to bring unwashed, foul-smelling clothes. To further disguise him, she applies a mixture of oil and salt to dull his hair and places a cushion under his clothes to make him look bulkier. She then darkens his face with blemishes and gives him an herbal concoction to alter his voice. Even after all this, Maomao thinks Jinshi still looks too handsome. Meanwhile, Jinshi's assistant insists Maomao also disguise herself, so a senior maid helps transform her into a mysterious-looking figure. Disguised, Jinshi and Maomao leave together, with Maomao receiving instructions to drop him off at his destination. Along the way, Maomao is tempted by grilled skewers and buys some, sharing them with Jinshi, who enjoys the taste. As they travel, Jinshi questions Maomao's hurry, suspecting she wants to avoid him. Maomao inwardly agrees but denies it. Their conversation shifts to Maomao's father, whom she deeply respects as a skilled physician. Upon reaching their destination, Maomao realizes they are at Verdigris House, a high-class brothel. Jinshi asks about influential patrons, but Maomao refuses to divulge such confidential information. He then asks how one might manipulate a courtesan's value, leading Maomao to explain the ranking system of courtesans based on beauty, skills, and purity. She details how some remain virgins to maintain higher prices, while others sell their bodies early. Pregnancy, she adds, drastically reduces a courtesan's worth. Jinshi, hearing all this, is visibly shocked. The episode ends here. The next episode begins with Jinshi asking Maomao how a mistress's value can decrease. Maomao replies that if a mistress becomes pregnant, her worth drops significantly. As they reach their destination, Maomao tells Jinshi that she will leave now, but he grabs her hand, asking if she is really going. She explains that if she enters the Verdigris house with him, their disguises will be useless. Jinshi lets her go and heads inside alone, while Maomao watches from a distance, remarking that tonight will be a fun night for him. Later, Maomao returns home and dreams of being attacked with a knife as a child. She wakes up startled, and her father, who is a renowned physician, asks if she is free today, requesting her to deliver medicine to the Verdigris house. She agrees and meets a mistress, who is an old friend. In a secluded room, she sees a woman, once admired by many, but now suffering from a terrible illness. This former mistress ignored her disease to continue working until it worsened beyond recovery. Now she is isolated, her beauty faded. Maomao realizes that for mistresses, aging means the end of their careers. Later, while bathing with other women, they insist on washing Maomao's back as gratitude for bringing them wealthy customers. Meanwhile, Jinshi gives Maomao a package to deliver to Sui. Later, an elderly maid warns Maomao not to plant strange herbs near the palace. The story shifts to Jinshi learning that Maomao's adoptive father is actually a eunuch physician. However, he soon meets Lacan, who reveals himself as Maomao's biological father. Shocked, Jinshi later informs Maomao that an official named Lacan will visit her. Her face darkens with anger, surprising Jinshi. Maomao then visits a restricted area full of medicinal plants and encounters a mysterious mistress. When Maomao asks about her work, the mistress jokingly says she is growing medicine that can bring the dead back to life. The episode ends here. The episode begins with Jinshi lost in thought, while his assistant reminds him of an ongoing palace ceremony. Jinshi dismisses his concerns, saying he is aware of his responsibilities. Meanwhile, Li Haku approaches Maomao, reminding her of the warehouse fire. He reveals that during the commotion, another warehouse was robbed and several ceremonial tools were stolen. When Maomao questions the security, Li Haku mentions that the warehouse worker responsible for the tools had died of food poisoning after eating his favorite sweets. Maomao recalls a similar incident involving three brothers' father and begins suspecting a connection. Li Haku then shows Maomao a pipe she once found in the warehouse. He explains that the worker refused to take it back, claiming it was a gift from a tall, medicinal-scented mistress. Maomao remembers the mysterious woman she met near the military area, but keeps her suspicions to herself. As she investigates further, a palace worker tells her about a weak ceremonial pillar that no one took seriously. Realizing the potential disaster, Maomao learns that the ceremony is happening right now and rushes to the site. However, the guards stop her, refusing to let a mere servant inside. When she insists, one of them strikes her, causing her to bleed. Just then, Lacan arrives, scolding the guard for attacking her and granting her entry. She sprints inside and pushes an important official away from the pillar just as it collapses. Injured and covered in blood, she sees the official's face. It's Jinshi. Before she can react, she faints, and Jinshi, panicked, carries her away. Maomao wakes up in Jinshi's room, still injured after saving his life. A maid tells her to rest since she has 15 stitches, and that Jinshi brought her here for better treatment. Later, Jinshi questions her about how she knew the pillar would collapse. Maomao explains that it was a carefully planned scheme. First, setting fire to the warehouse while simultaneously stealing ceremonial tools from another. Then, replacing the stolen tools with fake ones made from a metal that melts under heat. A master in the room doubts her claim, but Maomao continues, stating that the metalworker who crafted the tools was poisoned to keep the secret hidden. Jinshi understands, while Maomao internally decides to step away from the case. Later, Li Haku visits her, revealing that a court lady was involved in the incident. He then informs her that the same court lady was found dead from poison. Shocked, Maomao asks if anyone else was with her, but Li Haku confirms she was alone. Doubtful, Maomao seeks Jinshi's help to examine the body. At the morgue, she asks if the physician checked for horn apple poison, but he hadn't. Upon opening the coffin, the body inside is not the court lady. Realizing she faked her death, Maomao deduces she used a drug mimicking death and escaped. Later, Jinshi learns the court lady's mentor orchestrated the scheme. Meanwhile, Jinshi tells Maomao that Lady Gyokuyu's menstrual cycle has stopped, implying pregnancy. He orders Maomao to attend to her, and the episode ends.